They were here earlier.
Oh, you're going to get stampeded.
No, you're not. Come on, baby.
Perhaps nothing is more noticeable in suburban America than when an extraordinary effort is given to preserving a place's past and conserving its history. Travel just 40 miles north of downtown Dallas, and you'll find a place where time has done more than simply past. It has been remembered, honored, and cherished. This is Celina, Texas, a town where history isn't just recounted, it's lived every day. The Shawnee Trail, also known as Preston Trail, still winds through the community. Along it, commuters pass through, the rhythm of daily life moving on. But pause for a moment, and you'll find a story. It's a place where Friday night football unites, where church parking lots fill on Sundays, and where the Longhorns greet travelers with a quiet reminder of what once was and still remains. In Celina, one family's history stretches back to the late 1800s, with each generation helping to shape their town's enduring past while being intricately involved in developing its future. The Glendenning family.
That red one looking at you right there, she's got Texas twist horns. So that a lot of people are that's an original Texas Longhorn look and motif. For the last 40 plus years, every Longhorn you see on the highways around here, from the tollway to Preston Road to God knows whichever road, but they're ours. Many people stop and take pictures and kind of gawk at the Longhorns because of the history and the heritage that they bring into this area.
Sherese, you were telling us before we started about long tails and hair on their ears. Talk about that. What's different about these?
So the tail, it's called a switch, is long so that it can keep the flies off their back. And you can look around and see the longer the tail, the better. And then their ears are hairy, and that's to keep the ticks out. And
Any insects or ticks out of their ears, because the hair's so thick in their ears, a bug can't crawl through that. And their tail is almost drags the ground. It can switch and flop around and get it almost off your ears. And then if they need to itch, they'll take those horns and turn them and scratch with their horn. Then the horns have a honeycomb, nature-made honeycomb air conditioning system that cools the cow. When the air blows, it cools the air in the horn to cool their brain and their membrane of their body. They have a pecking order, just like chickens or anything. There's a top cow out here that eats first, and there's a number 2, number 3, number 4, and they get out of line, they'll let them know it. So if there's 100 cows out here, they're in order 1 to 100 as to the pecking order.
What's the life expectancy for these animals?
I would say a normal expectancy would be 18 to 20 years.
Their roots trace back to Alexander Glendenning, who arrived from Scotland in 1887 and built a legacy that, today, is carried forward by his great-grandson Rex and Rex's wife, Sherese. Through the generations, the bond with cattle has woven the Glendenning family history together. That decision, one born in practicality, would become a passion. Today, the Glendenning's Longhorns aren't just a feature of the landscape. They're a connection to Celina's past, an ever-present reminder of a town and a way of life that refuses to be forgotten. For over 4 decades, the Glendenning's Longhorns have roamed the fields along Preston Road and the tollway, visible to thousands of travelers each day. But to the Glendennings, these animals are more than livestock. They're family.
Yard art and eye candy is what some people call it. I think it's a little deeper than that, from a heritage and historic. I mean, how ironic is it that within a half a mile of here, the Shawnee Trail was where these cattle were pushed from Mexico and South Texas. Then through Fort Worth was the Chisholm Trail, and you have the drover and the stockyards over there, and and kind of embellishing indoor, honoring the Longhorns over there. So 3 major trails: Shawnee, Chisholm, and the Goodnight Trail out by Abilene. So, and they drove hundreds of thousands, really totally millions of head of Longhorn.
Just as the Longhorns symbolize heritage, another tradition runs just as deep. Football is part of the soul of Celina. But even as this once small town's past is filled with championships and victories, its future is one of growth and change. Recently named the fastest growing city in America, Celina is rapidly transforming.
Well, you know, there's something sweet when you come up the tollway or up Preston Road in the evening, long day of work, fighting traffic, and you finally get to Celina. And despite traffic coming here now, more stoplights, more people, you still look to your right, to your left to see those Longhorns. And there's a respite. It's almost like a homecoming.
But here, in the fields where cattle once followed the Shawnee Trail, the Longhorns still roam, thanks to the Glendennings. In a world racing toward the future, the Glendennings are a reminder that some things are worth holding on to. That history doesn't just live in books or museums, but in the very ground beneath our feet, where the cattle graze above it. In Celina, thanks to Rex and Sherese, the Longhorns still stand tall, a testament to the past and a promise to the future. In Celina, that past is very much alive.
Are the Longhorns going to stay?
I mean, as long as we have land here, we will have Longhorns here.
You've been listening to the Life Connected podcast, and we want to thank Rex and Sherese Glendenning, your life of love and service to this community, just giving your heart, the heart of your kids, and now your grandkids to Celina. I don't think there's 2 people that I know that love this place more than you do, and we thank you for joining Life Connected today.